Hi everyone, and welcome to another 3ds Max tutorial by BlackCloakHero. And today I'm going to be showing you how to create a volume light inside of 3ds Max rendering with Vray. So the first thing you want to do is we'll just set up our scene very quickly. So we'll just make a plane actually. So come in here, make a plane. Let's just change the color to gray. Awesome. And let's just I don't want to auto grid accidentally click that. And let's just come in here and make a house, or a window, sorry. We only really need one wall because that's where the sun's going to come through. And let's just turn up the segments. We don't need lengths. We just need this one and this one. And let's make this like 6 by 6. Awesome. Now right mouse click on it, convert to editable. God damn it. Edit, right mouse click, edit, convert to editable poly. Perfect. Click the face tool and we'll just control click and get rid of these faces. Again. Awesome. And now we have a window. And I'm just going to quickly come in here, just control click again, and I just want to move this up a bit just to kind of create like an arch. Nice. Sweet as. Okay, so now we have our window. We want to come in and just change this color again to gray, just so we know that this is the scene. I can close my dialog windows here. Alrighty, so now we can come into lights, standard, and let's just chuck a target direct in. So bring this in, move it up, I'm pressing W for the move key, E is rotate, which you don't really need, and R is scale if you ever need that. Awesome. So now you just want to kind of point it at the window, and you'll see that this blue circle here is a little bit narrow, so let's come up to our modifier. And let's just drop down these couple of boxes, and under the hotspot beam, let's just turn this up. Brilliant. Now, if you want it to hit just the window, you could just turn it down to encompass the window, but I want to kind of cover the whole scene, so let's just get in there. And unclick use global settings, make sure it's on shadow map, and come in and say add a volume light. Boom. Alright, now just come to the shadow parameters and turn on atmosphere shadows. Now we just want to come up and make sure V-Ray is turned on in our renderer. It's always important, otherwise it might not work properly. And I always like to turn on global illumination and some ambient occlusion just to make the objects a bit better. To make your renders go faster, come down to your irradiance map, it might be closed, and just make this very low so the renders will go nice and quickly for you. And important when you're doing atmospheric stuff, come into your settings under V-Ray and make sure you tick optimize atmospheric evaluation, and this will just help your render just speed up as well. Okay, now let's just create a quick camera. So let's just line up kind of what our scene, what we want, and Control C, and now we can come up here to show safe frames. You just click on this and you can see it. And now you can see our safe frames. So if we come and press H to it and see what we have in our scene, we can click our camera. And I want to make this like a 35mm and just let it zoom in a little bit. Awesome. And now I'll come back up to our rendering dialog and I want to make this a HD TV scene 720p. Brilliant. And now you're seeing that our thing has updated, and I just want to pan my camera a little bit. So our rays will come through this window here. Okay, press P again, and now you can see our camera is all set up the way we want it. Okay, now press 8 on the keyboard. You can also get to this by coming down and coming to rendering environment, and that does the same thing. Handy note that all your shortcuts are on the right hand side here if you ever want to know that. And here's our volume light that we just set up before. It's added our direct light, which is up here automatically. And our density of our shadow, this is how thick the rays will be as it's coming through. And you want to click use attenuation color, click noise on, make it a turbulence, and set the size to about 100. Perfect. And now let's just come down and have a look what that's done for us. So let's click render. It's doing one of two prepasses. If you set up more prepasses, you'll have noticed that it goes much sooner. Okay, so you notice how the whole scene's kind of blown out. This is because our hotspot beam is covering the whole scene. So now what we want to do is just construct the scene a little bit more. So let's just come and create a box. And come up here. We can turn these polys down because we don't need them. Make this 1 and 1. Brilliant. And just shift drag across. And that's how you get the walls. I might make these a little bit thinner. Awesome. Brilliant. Control click those, make these gray. And I might just make this at the back as well. Awesome. And let's just come into here and grab these and let's just extrude them. Sorry, click the box. There we go. And here we go. Oh, I've got the other scene selected. I've got the other bit selected. Alright, come out here. And don't worry about the other one moving. We will just fix that up soon. Alright, and that's our roof. Done. And unclick that. And this one has just automatically fixed itself. Let's just delete these faces. That's fine because we won't see this part of the scene. We just wanted a quick temporary fix. Oh, why did it do that? Okay, that should be fine. It should block the sun. Okay, let's just come back to our camera. I might just pull my field of view back a little bit and let's try rendering again. So prepass 1 of 2. And then this prepass. And then hopefully it will look like we've got some nice rays coming through the window. Look at that. And this is our global illumination. You can kind of see it's a bit spotty here. And here's our other rays coming through because we left the roof open. Now, if you want to make these rays look more full, we could come back in press 8. Let's open up this again. So come in here, click on volume light, and we could turn up the density to 10, and this will just make the rays look a lot thicker. And let's just try and render that again. It's our rendering dialog. So it's a really nice way to get these nice shadows, and the global illumination really helps the scene as well. See, now it looks a lot thicker. Perfect. But personally, I prefer kind of like around 4.5, not 14, 4.5. And let's just kind of make it a little bit more realistic. So let's make it look like a little bit dusty in here. Awesome. And just to help the scene, press M, come to your material editor, right mouse click and come to maps, Vray Material. And let's just quickly drag these materials onto the scene. So we got this one, the roof, the wall, and that updated that one, and the floor here. And actually I want to make the floor almost kind of like a glossy look, just for the sake of this tutorial. Let's come up to reflect, drop this down a little bit, and call this one floor. It's always important to name your materials. And call this one roof underscore walls. So drop that down. Awesome. And I might change the color to kind of like, actually no, I'll make the color, come in here, let's make the color like a checkerboard. Click this, and now you can see the checkers have updated. Let's make this about 5 by 5. 2 by 2. That's still too big. 0.01. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. And should we add a material to the walls? Well, let's just leave it as it is and just check how the render will do now. This will just establish a little bit more of the scene, make it look a little bit more realistic. And here we go again. And we'll show, after this, I'll show you how to set up the V-Ray buffer as well and get some different passes for you. So you see the color of the lights change to a kind of more realistic color. The global illumination is all bouncing into the corners, ambient occlusion's working correctly. We didn't really put this together really well, but we can fix that up soon. It's looking great. It's looking really nice. Perfect. And what's also great is when we come into here and let's just create a sphere. It's always good to try and test your environment. And let's press M again, come up here and let's create a chrome ball just to test our environment. And reflect to full. Pop. Okay, that's gonna be nice for us. Now let's come into our rendering dialog again. And we just want to set up our V-Ray buffer. So click this one. And what we want to do is come to our render elements. Now usually I don't use many of these. I usually use V-Ray Z-Depth. And this is pretty much all I'd use for a very quick composite. And let's make this 0.2 and let's just click off invert. And let's just see what this is going to do for us now. Okay. So once this pre-pass is done, you notice we have this new dialog box and all of these little functions. I'll go through these. Now you notice the image is a lot darker, and this is because it's using the V-Ray color space. So if you want it to look correct, come and click this one, sRGB. Now look at how great this looks. Now if we were to chuck a HDRI map in there, it would come out looking very, very nice indeed. Perfect. So we've got the reflection in the wall, the shadows hitting it, the shadows wrapping around it, global illumination in the scene. So it's getting there. Now let's try and add a sky to it, a HDR map. So let's press 8 again. And let's come in here and come to bitmap. So what you're going to need is a HDR IMAP. So I'm just going to come and try and find one in here. Where did I get one? Did I get one in here? No. Was it in here? I think it was in here. Okay. Bear with me. Okay, suburb. So this is a HDR map. And you just want to okay. Press M again. And bring this in here as an instance. Alright, double click, and that's a spherical environment. Alrighty, now let's just have a quick squiz at what this will do to the render. So let's just duplicate this so we can just double check to see what's going to happen. So second pre-pass. Just copy. Alright, so it's really blown out in the background, but hopefully we might get some sort of HDR image coming through on the background here. It's taking a little bit longer because it's actually going to put some reflections in. And there we have our HDR map reflecting in the background. We've got the reflection coming from the HDR map onto the glass behind us and around here and through the roof. Great. that. So we've successfully created really nice rays coming down through the glass in here. And something else we can just quickly fix up is if we come to our render dialog and come to our V-Ray settings, we can come to color mapping and we can untick effect background. And let's just set this to 2.2 quickly and come up to our rendering, rendering gamma LUT setup, and make sure this is set to 2.2. This is very important so your textures will work correctly when you export from V-Ray. So let's just come and duplicate this again quickly, and let's just render this one out. So this is what we started with. Now we've got the HDRI map. You can notice we've probably got some more reflections going on here. If we jump over to our Z-Ray depth pass, you can see we can composite this nicely, and we can put some depth of field in behind the ball if we wanted. So, and that's our alpha. This is really looking great. So you'll notice the scene has instantly become brighter because we've pumped up the gamma. But if we come and untick this now, this will be a very nice flat image for us to work in and post. And we could also come into the render after this. Let me just move these over. Drop that down, and come to here. And we can just change this to an exponential type, and this will help the scene as well. That's looking great. That looks fantastic. Wonderful. Alright, so let's just duplicate this one. Awesome. This is a little bit blown out because we've duplicated it. And let's come back here. And if we clamp it, clamp the output, and then make this exponential. Now let's see what's going to happen. So prepass 2. Now you'll notice how quick it is. When you're going to do your final render, you want to make sure you come up to indirect illumination and turn it back up to high. So now that we've made it exponential, the curves will function a little bit better. This will give us a lot more room in post to work with. But this is just native now, so we don't have to have the sRGB turned on. So you notice that looks really good. We've got our lights coming in, our rays. Perfect. Great, that looks fantastic. So if we come and just check this on, you'll notice the difference. Okay, so where did we start with? Was it this one? No, so we'll close this and close this one. Okay, let's just bring up these. Perfect. Okay. So this is what we started with, and now we've got this much more realistic looking image with our HDR map in there. And we're almost done. The one final thing that I was gonna fix up was I'm just gonna turn the indirect illumination to let's turn up to high just for this last render, and click 8, and this will pop back up. And I just want to make this maybe about 5.5, just to make it a little bit thicker, actually 5.3. And let's make this just 95, just to help it. Alright, click render, and let's see what the final render will look like. And don't forget, also in the V-Ray frame buffer, we have our Z depth pass. This is going to update with every frame. It's very handy for doing compositing, which I'll cover in a later tutorial. And it's going to look great. Little simple things change your life. Perfect. And also exponential, having your frame renderer set up to exponential also kind of simulates how a camera would operate in real life. You're not just going to get a linear, super bright, super dark. You're actually going to have some sort of ramping going on here. So you'll notice in like some of our highlights here, it doesn't just go from bright white to bright black. it just goes, kind of just fades, and so there's a gradient or a ramp going on there, and this helps blend our scene in a lot more. Now, in this case, we don't really need the HDR map to be back in the background, because when we check on our alpha channel, this will disappear. But if we did want it to render, you just come back into here, into Vray, into these different settings down here, and just pull the map in from up here in the environment that we set up, the spherical environment. I'll show you that quickly after this, just to help you guys. So pass 4 of 4, we're almost done. As you notice, like the renders take quite a lot longer when you're in the high global illumination radius. But you'll notice significant improvements. See how this is kind of quite noisy up in these sections? Once we render this pass out, it's going to be nice and smooth, and it's going to look great. Corners like this. Very simple methods of rendering. It's looking great. And how long have we done this scene for? What was this? What's the timer say? What's the timer say? About 21 minutes. So you pretty much learn how to light a scene, get the scene, and then export the scene with a frame buffer in it. So after this renders, I would quickly show you how to make sure the HDRI setting renders properly, and also how to set up the final export to go out, move the frame elements, render elements. Okay, it's going to start rendering any second now. Perfect. Now instantly you can see that this has gotten a lot better, much less noise. Of course, you're going to have to pump it up quite a bit more, but that's a significant improvement from what it was. Where is this one? Look how noisy this is in comparison to this. Where's your frame? Look at that. Look at the difference. It's a lot better. Okay, come back here. Just creates a lot smoother image. And it's also kind of cool how these little black bits along the wall kind of reproject up here as the light bounces in. Cool. So this is that image all rendered. It's looking fantastic. So now you want to save this image somewhere, right? So let's come back up. I'm just going to turn this back down because I'm going to render it again, so we don't have to wait that long. But always make sure you turn this back up. Now come to here and click Browse, and we just want to save it somewhere. So let's make a new folder and call this Sphere Scene EXR Files. Sweet. And I'll just call this Sphere, just for the sake of this tutorial. And make sure it's OpenEXR. Click Save. And now you'll come up with this window. If you're working on production, you want to make sure this is in 32 just to give the people a little bit more room to work with. But in our case, we just want the 16 because all we're going to do is just put the Z-pass on and make this better. And then click Add, and you'll see the render element that we set up before. Click Add there. Everything else is fine. So now this will render that ZDev pass there. And now we want to set up the render output for our other one. So let's come back to our desktop, where is it, Sphere Scene, and call this Sphere Main Shot. And make this OpenEXR. Perfect. That's still in there from our settings before. Alright, now do this quick render, and in here we'll see the desktop, and we'll see Sphere Scenes, and then our files will pop up there once this is done. So our ZDev pass is running again. Looking great, it's looking good. It's just finishing up. Okay, and then this will be updated with our EXR files. Any second. Any second. Perfect. And now you see that we have our alpha, we've got our color channel, we've got our Z depth, and we have our main shot. Perfect. That's looking great. So that's pretty much the tutorial. I'll cover how to composite these in a later one, so this one doesn't drag out too long. I hope you've enjoyed watching. And oh wait, I'm just going to show you very quickly on how to set up that other shot that I was telling you about, so I didn't ruin it. So this is that V-Ray bit I was telling you about the environment. And pretty much all you want to do is tick this one and drag this in here. And then untick this, and that way it won't affect, you won't see it in the render, but you'll still get the reflections in here, but you won't see it in these bits, in the windows, in the actual outside. Fantastic. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this tutorial. I've enjoyed teaching you guys on how to use 3ds Max and V-Ray. And tomorrow I'm going to cover the compositing, there we go. Good one, Kieran. And so this has been BlackCloakHero, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Look forward to my vlogs, and also the giveaway is ending today, so I'll be drawing a winner tomorrow morning, and I'll be sending that lucky t-shirt winner your way. Fantastic. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.